You would think that the Secret Service would be on their best behavior now because everybody's watching them. Except, just yesterday, a female Secret Service agent abandoned her post to breastfeed her child before the North Carolina rally, which to me you should argue that women don't belong there at all. Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. Got a lot to talk about, especially when it comes to the Secret Service and the Trump assassination attempt. And, we just keep getting more questions than answers, it seems. First, we want to thank our sponsor of the segment, Cardio Miracle. So Cardio Miracle, it's my pre-show ritual. I drink it all the time. It gives me that energy boost. And I wouldn't know personally because I've never done cocaine, but I bet it's way better than that.
That's a good start to the show. I mean, where are we going with this?
It can help with all sorts of ailments. So make sure you go check them out. They've got a 60-day money-back guarantee. Cardiomiracle.com/Sara, promo code Sara. That is cardiomiracle.com/Sara, promo code Sara.
Wow.
Why am I... Welcome to the show, Chad Prather.
What is it about me being here?
I was going to say, apparently,
out of you,
Mr. Pure over here, Chad Prather, who is offended by my joke.
No, trust me. Let me drink some of that stuff, and I could probably give you a comparison chart. I got a past. I could solve some White House problems.
Also, welcome, Jaco Booyens, BlazeTV contributor.
Who knows nothing about any of what they're talking about, legitimately, but it's funny.
Yeah. What is this? What is this? Cocoa? What are you talking about?
Cacao.
What is this stuff what are you referring to?
Oh, man. So a couple different things. One on the specifics of July 13th and one on just the Secret Service in general. So today, I wouldn't be running with this if it wasn't tweeted out by someone in Congress. But Representative Ana Paulina Luna over in Florida tweeted out a photo. What she said was that a law enforcement sent her this, and she says that it was sent to them, and they say that that is Thomas Crooks holding, open carrying a rifle. And so if you look at it, there does appear to be something black that's around him that would be at the same level. So then the question becomes, how in your face was this guy?
Mm-hmm.
That he was able to just literally carry a rifle around the perimeter, get up on the roof. I mean, let's go through all of the things that don't make sense. I don't think I have to because I think we've already gone through them at great lengths. But I mean, again, the questions become more and more and more evident. Why was he you guys saw him how long before? Hours before.
Mm-hmm.
He even fired off shots. You saw him, you took pictures of him. He tried to go through the metal detectors and he had a rangefinder and you guys were like, he's probably just trying to golf. I don't know. That's probably why he has a rangefinder, right? Oh, it's not technically a device that's not allowed, so we won't detain him. We'll just let him go. In fact, we'll just lose total sight of him and then we're not going to be on the roof and then the roof is outside the perimeter. And I mean, all of the things that line up. And now rally goers are taking pictures and sending pictures in of this guy reportedly carrying a rifle just out there. Because that was one of the questions we had, right? How did he's just walking around with a rifle slung around his shoulder like, nothing to see here, guys, carry on. Well, yeah, it kind of seems like he is.
Yeah. Look, I think we need to get really pragmatic when we start discussing these things. I think there's times when we on the right gloss over things and speak in broad strokes, and I think we need to get very pragmatic. Practically, a human being gets in a vehicle and drives, ends up with a long rifle, whether it is an AR or whatever, on the roof. The gun doesn't just appear, which means he carried it in his hands from a vehicle that's not parked right next to the roof. So yes, at some point he carried, now is the rifle in a bag, but a long bag is easily identified as a rifle case, a rifle bag. So yeah, people saw this guy, somebody, I always say this, everything is seen. Mm-hmm. It's just, the question is just, do people talk or do they not talk? But it's seen. So yes, Sara, he carried a rifle. in broad daylight, climbed on a roof, which is not that easy, by the way. I challenge anybody to go climb a roof, even with a ladder.
It's
which
also very slopey.
Okay, but
very
still.
Very slopey roof, which I'm told
you
is
got to
hard.
sling it over your back. You got to climb up. You're not holding it here. You're kind of exposed to a degree. You kind of can take a guy down. So yes, he's allowed to walk around with a rifle. Then what was very interesting to me is the body cam footage of the cop. Mm-hmm. Did you see that? Mm-hmm. That tells a story where you go, okay, can any one of y'all maybe radio the former commander-in-chief and say, bro, don't go on stage? Maybe?
That's what still doesn't make sense. Why was he allowed to go on stage?
There was a lot of time, right?
All
Dude is loading a magazine. He's out of breath. He's running. I'm telling you, he's on the roof. He's telling where he's, hey, he can, watch out now. He can get one off on you. There's time. Mm-hmm. There's so much time. But yes, he did carry a rifle from point A to point B, climbed the roof with a rifle. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even need to see that picture to be convinced that something nefarious was going on. And I don't understand why Trump gets on the Elon Musk X Space the other night and spends 20 minutes talking about how wonderful the Secret Service is.
Because he doesn't want to die.
And does all the, I gotta tell them, I got to commend them. They did a fantastic job. It was a 400-yard shot. I don't know if you know this or not. That's a long shot. And I'm like, why are you doing this? Because listen, with all the footage that I've seen, all of the images, the videos. I mean, it's like the Secret Service were at Butler, PA, and the president's fixing to come on the stage. Like, all right, the president's over there. We got the crowd over here. We've got these people over the cameras. The news media's over here. We got an assassin on the roof. Everything looks great, And it's like they just were okay with that guy being there. Yeah. It was just like it was like normal day.
Right.
We've got an assassin at 130 yards. And we'll keep an eye on him. He's probably not going to do anything. I mean, what else would he be doing on a metal roof with a AR?
And Chad, the argument,
rangefinder.
We didn't know where he was. No, you did, because you shot him.
Yeah.
If a shot rings out, right, and someone goes down, and you truly have no line of sight where the shot comes from, right, out in the wild. We've hunted and surfed, and you got to find that shot from somewhere. That's not that easy to just find. No, they had him in line of sight. I mean, they're aiming in the right direction from the get-go. This is, I from day one said, inside job.
100%. And then you got 8 minutes of video with people holding their cell phones up, pointing at the guy, screaming at him.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a guy with a gun up there.
Meanwhile, while the cop is on body cam rallying other cops to go, he's up there, be careful.
Right.
Be careful of what?
The media swept it under the rug. There's no real investigation. No one has been fired.
That's right.
Kimberly Cheadle was allowed to resign.
Right.
Correct.
But no one's been fired.
She should be subpoenaed.
And so you have all of this going on. And so you would think that right now the Secret Service would be on their best behavior, right? Everyone's looking at us. It's time to be on our best behavior. But Chad, to your point about Donald Trump commending them and complimenting them, it made me sick to hear it too. But I was like, the guy probably just wants them to like him so they don't let him die, would be my guess, because he probably is very fearful of that.
Probably not a bad move.
Right. Seeing how what an epic failure it was, one can only presume. It seems like this was kind of allowed to happen. So you would think that the Secret Service would be on their best behavior now because everybody's watching them, except just yesterday, a female Secret Service agent abandoned her post to breastfeed her child before the North Carolina rally of Donald Trump. So this is from Susan Crabtree from Real Clear Politics. She said, the site agent in charge of security for the entire event found the agent breastfeeding her child in a room that was supposed to be set aside for Secret Service official work 5 minutes before Trump's motorcade arrived. The woman who came from the Atlanta field office was in the room with 2 other family members, and they bypassed the uniform division checkpoint that they were supposed to all check in on, and they were escorted to the room by a staff member who was not cleared to be there. And in case you were wondering, in case it's not immediately freaking clear, a working agent on duty cannot bring a child to a protective assignment, which obviously the idea would be that it would be inherently dangerous, which to me you should argue that women don't belong there at all.
Let's argue that.
If it's inherently dangerous and she could die, why is your child there? Why are you there?
Can you imagine going into your bank and there's a security guard in the corner breastfeeding?
No.
Can you imagine? Okay, so I made this post on social media a couple of weeks ago, caught all holy hell for it, of saying, women should not be a part of that protective detail.
Absolutely
And you know who lined up to yell about it were women.
Yes.
And I'm like, listen,
women.
And I'm like, you're not tough enough to handle a Facebook post. I don't think you're tough enough to handle bullets flying at you. That's just my general thing. Can you do the job? Theoretically, yes. I just don't think you should be doing the job.
Right.
Because you deal with things, men and women deal with things. That doesn't mean all men are perfect, so don't come at me. Men are going to make mistakes too, but men process things a different way than women do. Yeah. I'm sorry, I know you want everybody to be some biological androgynous being, but don't buy into the lie. Men and women are different. Not all men are great. Not all women aren't great. I'm not saying that. There's qualifications and classifications and levels of everybody's experience, expertise, their ability to handle crisis, all these things. Men are good at certain things, women aren't. Stereotypically, women are good at certain things that men aren't, stereotypically. Just like I've said, you don't go out looking for a male babysitter.
Right. I was about to say that. Why? Because the 2-year-old will be swinging off the rafters with the guy cheering him on, saying,
going,
you can do it.
Eat more sugar.
You can do it. Listen, this is why it's assignments from God. And we are different by design because we're helpmate, complementing one another. Men process in the moment. They're also willing to die in the moment.
Yes.
Because we are born to protect. We're born to hunt. And if you don't hunt food, then you hunt injustice. And that means you put yourself on the line. A mom has to, in the moment, process security, stability. Where's the kids? What are they doing? Is what we take flack for all the time as men. Sometimes we don't process enough. When it comes to family planning, when it comes to where do we live, in that area, we better have women around because they are building the fabric that keeps a home on track. Because Dad would say, party time, man. It's slumber party every night. I go on a trip. I come home. My wife tells me, don't mess up the schedule, buddy. Yep. I know you were gone and it's 8:30, but it's bedtime. I want to play with the kids tomorrow. Yep. They're going to bed now. There's a place and a time for everything. And the place and the time is not when the bullets fly, because when they were flying, Susie Q couldn't holster her gun. And when I saw that ponytail flipping around a president at 5'6" and the dude is 6'2", and they hold him up, and if there was another shooter, it's like clear shot Johnny. Right, I was like, dear God, help us, because she's in panic mode, because there's no time to process. Right?
Donald Trump's 6'2". The woman guarding him was 5'5".
Yes,
that's a problem.
That can't happen. I don't care if it's a man.
Even if it's a man, you can't have Buttigieg covering Donald Trump, right?
Physical problem. I've known Glenn Beck for how many years now, and I can tell you this: the man travels with a security detail. I've never seen a female on a security detail.
And he's
got some general badasses.
And these are general.
Yeah, I said it. Jaco's got a ministry. They had general badasses, okay? I do too. I just don't come with there's no shingle out. I'm telling you, he's got to go be able to speak at Liberty University and stuff. I can tell you, Glenn travels with badasses, people you don't want to meet. And Glenn lives with 400, 500 active threats against his life at any given time. I've traveled with security myself. I'm not out there taking resumes from girls. I'm just not.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not. And I love women. Don't get me wrong. No. Thank God for what women are and what women do well. I will defend you to the death.
I don't think Chad Prather has ever been accused of not loving women.
No, I love women.
We know.
I love women, but I promise you, I will fight for you, defend you.
This show.
We got realwomensclub.com, which is an outward expression using our platform that defends women.
Yes.
We do that, but my gosh, I'm like, no, I don't want to put a woman in a situation where she's the one between me and the bullet.
Right.
Listen, what does it say of a society when we send our women to defend the men?
Yes.
Come on.
If I'm a man, you know what, and the bullets start flying, I'm going to try to protect the girl.
Right. Come on, man. No, you know what? It's not right. It's not right because you don't put a rightful ability. Like when I open a door for a woman, oh my gosh, every time this happens now, I actually stop and I confront the woman. I open doors for women because that's how I was raised. And a lady the other day goes, I can do that, And I said, ma'am, excuse me. She turns around and said, I don't question your muscular density, whether you can open a 5-pound door. It's not why I open the door, you idiot. I'm actually doing my duty unto God.
Right.
To show you honor.
Right.
Listen, I was in the airport in Houston the other day, heading out of town, and the escalator was broken. And there was a woman, she looked to be about late 60s. She was tiny, and she had a big carry-on bag, and she had a big suitcase. And she was at the base of the stairs, had to go up to the top. And I stopped. There were a big crowd of people just kind of going past her, and she looked up at those stairs, and I said, "Can I carry this for you?" And she said, "I've got it." She goes, "Thank you, though." And as I started to walk away, she goes, "Only in Texas." And I go, "I'll take that as a compliment."
Yeah.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Wow, she said that?
Yeah.
Like, only in Texas will someone be kind enough to offer me a helping hand.
Yeah.
That's a sickness.
It really is. It really is. I mean, that just shows you how far society has fallen.
Yeah.
Is that and by the way, it wasn't lost on me, Chad, when you were talking, I noticed like you kept feeling the need to caveat. It's like we shouldn't live in a society where you feel the need to caveat.
Well,
Like, no, don't get me wrong. I love women. Like, it should be completely obvious, which by the way, it was until about 20 years ago?
Yeah.
15 years ago? It was.
Well, the thing is, you shouldn't have to add the asterisk or the footnote or the disclaimer. You shouldn't have to do those things. You just say, listen, there is a difference between men and women, period. End of story. There is a difference. Now, again, you got all these qualifications. Some woman's going to say, you can't tell me that there's any woman on the planet who is better at all things that require that type of strength and courage. And like, there's always going to be at least one man on the planet who could do that job better than the very best woman.
I always say take the
and
best.
vice versa for women.
There's Amanda Nunes. Amanda Nunes is married to a woman. Okay? Greatest UFC MMA female fighter of all time. She doesn't claim to be a man. She's just gay. She's married to a woman. Amanda Nunes is asked, "Will you get in the ring with Conor McGregor?" And she goes, "You guys don't understand. Someone who's ranked 450th on the amateur list, I will not get in the ring with. There is a physical, life-threatening danger.
Yeah,
exactly.
Put me in a cage with a man. This is the best there ever was, right? Who's saying, let's not even talk. You want to start talking John Jones? You can't. It's asinine. It's a sickness. Now you got a man punching women in the face at the Olympics, a man.
Yep.
One woman saying, "Hey, I can't handle this." She forfeits all her dreams, and people are celebrating this. It's sick. It should be called out for what it is. It should have gotten more negative attention than our breakdown fiasco got, right? Of the IOC allowing men punching women in the face for sport.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Meddled in domestic abuse. But back to your point about the breastfeeding thing, I mean, that's a dereliction of duty. Yeah. Bottom line. That is a break of protocol. It should have never existed, regardless of how skilled or trained or equipped and capable that woman is.
And you know her duty, she's not on the clock when the president arrives. She's on the clock hours before.
Well, that's the point. Before. Yeah, of course. But I mean, and here's the thing. At the end of the day, is your child more important than your job? Yes. That's why you shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Right? Don't take your child into
that's
a
what I'm saying.
service detail.
You can't do, if you have to pick the kid. Don't pick a dereliction of duty and then exposing your kid to this potential situation, right?
You can't holster your gun. You can't cradle your child.
It may say
just
something.
go home and be, maybe you can really rock at being a mom because you're really not good at being a Secret Service agent.
But Sarah, it says something about the approach to the job, though. It's a casual,
I agree,
haphazard
because as women we are not pre-programmed to think that way. Like,
but I think it's the whole Secret Service approach.
All of it is
like
slack. You've been to Mar-a-Lago. I've been to Mar-a-Lago.
Yes.
I've been in situations in Mar-a-Lago where I go, man, I really didn't go through any security here.
And you would think that after this assassination attempt happened, they would have gotten their crap together, and clearly they still have not. So again, if I were Donald Trump, I probably would be like, no, I think they're great. They are the greatest ever. Please protect me. Please don't let me die.
Yeah,
I would be probably saying the same thing. All right. When we come back, let's talk about the next potential global health pandemic, epidemic, monkeypox.
Yeah.
We return. Well, we are now, 82 days away from the election. And I know, isn't that scary? Isn't that scary?
And even closer when you consider early voting.
Yeah, early voting starts next week.
Next week?
Next week in some I think there's... No, I do. Check me on this,
Starts
please, everybody.
September. Yeah.
It's a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Okay, first of all, that's a I don't want to get too sidetracked, but that is a whole different conversation. Like, that is a problem.
September, voting in September.
That is a problem that people are allowed to cast their vote in September.
Well, you need runway if you want to finagle things. Come on now. You got to, you need some runway.
No kidding.
You got to know what we're working with.
You got to know what we're working with here.
Figure out how to turn that knob up.
How we doing there, Steve?
Yeah.
Run the printer.
So we've got this coming up, and, we've heard all of these different people who are warning of like, listen, they used COVID as an excuse to do all sorts of things with the election, unprecedented things that they now want to keep doing. What's the next pandemic going to be? Well, I would just like to say monkeypox is now a health emergency in Africa.
Revival of monkeypox.
According to the World Health Organization. And they say that this is now a global threat. Watch.
Breaking news, and it is about mpox, or what used to be known as monkeypox. The WHO is saying that it is a public health emergency of international concern. That's according to the WHO Director General, who's speaking at the moment.
Very trustworthy.
It had been declared a
So
public health
trustworthy.
emergency in Africa, I think yesterday. And now the WHO is basically saying that it is a public health emergency of international concern.
International concern. So, and you did hear him say, you're supposed to say mpox.
Mpox.
Because saying monkeypox, I'm told, is racist, which I think if you're the one who is making that connection, you're the racist.
Racist? Monkeys are a race?
No.
Or a species?
I'm not gonna do the explanation. But, so they said, well, hold on. So they said that it's moving across the world. 934 new laboratory confirmed cases, 4 deaths had been reported to the UN, and 26 African countries in June. And Africa is responsible for 96% of the confirmed mpox.
History repeats itself. What I want to ask Anthony Fauci, because he was around for this, right? Yeah. Are these the same monkeys that they said spread HIV in the 60s? Are these the same monkey strand? I mean,
and Anthony Fauci knows a lot about Africa and killing people. Let me say this.
Yep.
And I mean, I'm saying that to an African.
You go ask the Africans when they learned that Anthony Fauci somehow finagled his way into the Donald Trump administration. They literally said that guy spread a medicine that spread HIV and killed our ancestors.
It was genocidal.
100%.
So, monkeypox, somebody must have a lot of money invested in this monkeypox thing, because, monkeypox went away faster than the Me Too movement. Yeah. Like, as soon as they gave, Woman of the Year to Bruce Jenner, the Me Too girls took their hats off and went home. Monkeypox, when COVID came along, they said, oh my gosh, people are falling dead in the streets in China. They're welding people into their homes. It's coming to America. What do we do? And they came out with the protocols: mask up, obey the stickers on the floor in the grocery store, wave goodbye to grandma through plexiglass in the nursing home while she dies, and put your kids on a Zoom call, and all this kind of crazy stuff. And we were sitting there with pool noodles on our head so we didn't get too close to somebody. Monkeypox came along when they started to lose the power of the COVID protocols. Monkeypox came along and we said, oh, that's going to kill us now. What are the protocols? And they said, you can't rub your genitals on another human being. And we were like, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're Americans. We put our genitals wherever we want to. I don't know if you've been to our parades, but we swing our genitals around and we throw them around. We've got flags that represent what we do with our genitals. And so they were like, you know what? We didn't think through the monkeypox thing. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to rebrand it. We're going to call it Npox. Or mpox or whatever. We're going to somehow make this facetious claim.
They removed the genital disclaimer?
I don't know that they have yet. I haven't read the protocols yet, but I know that they said we're not going to call it monkeypox, and we're going to tell everybody it's racist, and then they'll forget monkeypox ever existed, and we'll rebrand it and we'll bring it back, because all the evil things start in Africa, because you saw that movie where the monkey flew over on the plane and bit one guy and the whole world died. So this stuff, somebody's
got to have the cowboy in the house.
Somebody's got a lot of money invested in monkeypox because listen, we created this disease, guys. Come on.
Can we go see who owns mpox, who trademarked mpox? Who's got It's probably George Soros,
Sounds like a really frosted, sugary cereal.
Mpox.
Eat your mpox.
As long as
your kids some monkeypox. Monkeypox and cartoons.
Let's write the jingle.
Yeah, we could do it. But somebody's got a lot of money invested in monkeypox.
This is a flat-out 100% circus show. Yeah. We are in a either one heck of a nightmare and we all wake up, which is not the case, or it is a complete cluster circus show across the board.
Well, here's what I don't get. Why is anyone why are we listening to what the WHO says?
That's right.
What,
at this stage of the game, why would you?
Did you guys not learn your lesson, Sky News? Why he's reading it? Well, so important.
And you know what's funny is they put Fancy Pants up there with his Bridget Jones Diary accent. And it's like we're supposed to take that serious because a British dude says it with emergency.
I'd say because the WHO says it is a reason to go in the opposite.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just like, wait, are we really going to be fooled by the WHO again? Yeah. Do you guys not remember what they did?
No, surely not. Surely people are not going to fall for this genital monkeypox.
They're that stupid. 6 weeks ago, Kamala Harris had a 27% approval rating. It was the lowest approval rating of a vice president in modern history, and now she's the second coming of the Messiah. They changed that persona of her in 3 days. People are that stupid. Of course they'll be brainwashed with this crap. They're that dumb.
Even knowing
They're that dumb.
Sarah, knowing if you're not touching someone's
I agree with Chad. You're going to be surprised with how many people are going to vote for that human being.
They are. And listen, they lined up like lab rats to take an untested vaccine. I don't even know if we can even say that word anymore on the air. But they lined up like lab rats to get some untested medical procedure.
Ooh, Daddy, yes. Give it to me. Yeah. Experimental,
boost me harder, Daddy. They did that, lined up for it. They do it again. They're still doing it. Anywhere I got on a plane to go to San Diego a couple of weeks ago. 25% of the plane was still masked up. Had masks on their children. There were people out in the streets in California walking down the road, jogging with masks on. Still.
That's really depressing.
They're brainwashed.
Yeah, look, if you can fall in love with Gavin Newsom, I mean, you can fall in love with Satan. I mean, this is like it. It's done. And Chad is not wrong. I said it this morning. I said, please, for the love of life and freedom, do not think this is a shoo-in. Do not think it's Kamala. Now it's easy. She's going to get votes. Manufactured, real, the dead people voting, the illegals voting, but she's going to have real, legal voting Americans are going to go vote.
They've already seen they can get away with 81 million.
Yeah.
They've already seen that they can get away with that. So.
Which is a gigantic number.
Gigantic.
Well, if I had to guess, I would say that 100% of all of the monkeypox patients are voting for Kamala Harris. It's just that they're just all Kamala.
I think the monkeys are also voting for her.
I mean, probably.
So a lot of people are voting with the monkeys.
That would be a reason for all of those extra ballots they found. All right, so we've got more to come, but first we want to thank our sponsor this segment, Flying Ace Spirits. So, look. I wish that I think that I have some in the mail. I need a Flying Ace Spirit bottle to just put up right here. Jaco's already judging me.
What are we talking about?
Jaco's already judging me. It's whiskey.
I'm out of this conversation.
I quit drinking.
Yeah.
I quit drinking. Hadn't had
this is not,
oh, wait a minute. She's doing a
spot. Trying to sell whiskey.
She's doing a spot.
I'm a big fan of the whiskey. I just don't drink it.
So Flying Ace Spirits, they have all sorts of whiskey. It really is delicious. We drink that at our house. That is the exclusive Sara Gonzales Unfiltered whiskey. And they're also helping provide scholarships to families of America's fallen or disabled. And they're partnering with Folds of Honor in order to do that. And so, they're helping, these scholarships are allowing families to begin to chart their own new course after experiencing, of course, great tragedy and great sacrifice. So it's American made. Okay, go check them out. You can scan the QR code on your screen, or you can go to flyingacespirits.com, use code America to get free shipping. That is flyingacespirits.com, promo code America. So an update in the death of actor Matthew Perry. U.S. Attorney Martin Estrada announced charges today in that October 28th, 2023 death. Now, as you guys recall, I'm sure, he was found face down in his hot tub where paramedics immediately declared him deceased. And they had found out later that he had ketamine in his system. Now, he was, of course, he struggled with addiction for a very long time, but was said to have been sober. So The U.S. attorney said that 2 of the people, including one of the doctors charged, have been arrested. Now, 2 of the defendants, including his assistant, Matthew Perry's assistant, have pleaded guilty to charges, and a 3rd person has also agreed to plead guilty. And I want to just read this tweet from CNN entertainment correspondent Elizabeth Wagmeister. She said, per the U.S. Attorney's Office and DEA, Perry became addicted to ketamine when seeking treatment. He was taken advantage of by doctors who sold him ketamine for thousands of dollars. Text messages between the 2 doctors reveal they knew they were taking advantage of Perry. This is a quote, "I wonder how much this moron will pay," from the doctor.
Wow.
One of the doctors sold ketamine to Perry's live-in assistant and taught the assistant how to inject Perry with the ketamine, knowing he was not a medical professional. Perry then sought to obtain ketamine for less money than from doctors because they were taking advantage of him, clearly, because they said he was a moron. So he obtained drugs from street dealers via his assistant, per the DEA. The ketamine that ultimately led to Perry's death was sold by these street dealers. Perry's assistant was the one who injected the ketamine on October 28th, the day Perry died. After Perry's death was reported in the news, one of the street dealers texted the other, "Delete all our messages." Now, yesterday, I had Dr. Andy Wakefield on the show, and we talked about all sorts of, things regarding the medical industrial complex. And I think that one thing remains clear. And by the way, the next story that we want to talk about, same deal for that. The medical industrial complex has become an industry where they don't care about you. They care about the bottom line, the bottom dollar, the profit, and that is it. That is it. You cannot assume that you're going to go to a hospital, you're going to go to a doctor's office, and these people are going to take care of you. We shouldn't even call it the healthcare system anymore.
No.
It's the sick care system, and these doctors have absolutely no intention of helping you. They would rather actually just profit off of your crisis. And I hope that they throw the book at these people. That is just absolutely
And I hope it stays
disgusting.
I hope it stays in the forefront and it's really exposed and they're set up as an example. See, that's one of the things that we have in our society that has been lost is that accountability and the consequences that are on display. We don't show that people are being punished anymore. People think they can get away. We live in a smash and grab culture where people can just do crime and they can just get away with it with a slap on the wrist. I mean, this man's dead. I know that there's a lot of people out there who would say, well, it serves him right. He was a drug addict. He was a Hollywood guy. He was a multimillionaire. He doesn't live in the same world we live in. That's a human being who had his own struggles, had his addictions, and my heart's broken in that situation.
He was being taken advantage of.
I'm empathetic of that. They took advantage of this man's addiction. Listen, we were talking during the break. I got a torn labrum in my shoulder. I had to go to the doctor. I had to go get an x-ray. I had to go do this. I get sent to all these little
They offered you
offices. No ketamine's been offered yet.
Take it, Chad.
And so, but you have to go through, talking about the medical complex, you have to go through all these different steps. Now you got to go to physical therapy. You got to do this for so long before we can.
You can't get the surgery if you don't do
X, Y, Z. You got to do it because every little
they
person's
feed each
gotta,
other.
They all got to get their little piece of insurance money, and you got to do all these things. So while I've got a torn shoulder, 6 weeks now, I've been dealing with this thing, and it's going to be however many more months to go before I can actually get the thing fixed. Because again, they've got this system set up. But then you get into somebody like this where I've said forever, a lot on live stages, I've said, big pharma, they don't want you dead, they want you dependent. Mm-hmm. If you could stay sick, that's perfect because that's an ongoing profit for them. Mm-hmm. They're happy to keep us sick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And by the way, I mean, the ketamine is administered in some cases like legally because they're like, well, you're not taking this bad drug, so we'll give you this other drug instead, and we'll take money for it.
Of course.
Seems odd, don't you think?
Yeah.
We'll just get you dependent on this other drug.
You can hear them even saying, just get the dose right because you don't want this to go wrong because he's got to stay a customer, right? He's got to. You said something that I really look. There are days when I know that the 3 people at the table, we are afforded access to people that maybe normal Americans don't get. Like we can call certain doctors that we know are ethical, and but that's not the average American.
No.
Right? And so my cry to the average American, particularly with your children, is do not trust a single doctor. You have to prove and verify everything. And yes, it puts a lot more on your plate as a mom. We understand it. Here comes the appreciation of women like you can't believe it. But you're going to have to do it. You have to. You have to question. When you go to the dentist and they want to give your 5-year-old crowns, and they want to rack up a $15,000 because on a tooth that he's going to lose.
It's going to fall out.
It's going to fall out. This is, do you know that Dallas is culprit number one in that one industry? Dallas is under investigation. Orthodontist in pediatric orthodontic care is under investigation of just racking up $20,000 bills on 5 and 6-year-olds for crowns.
Wow.
Teeth that are going to fall out. You cannot just say, yes, pay the piper. No, you question, you probe, you expose, you research, and you force a doctor to do his job. You get a second, third, fourth opinion. You don't just pay up. Stop doing it.
And I would say too, I don't even want to force you to do your job. Like if you are the type of doctor who would be like that, I don't want to. Right. I don't want to go there. I don't want to give you my business. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want anything to do with you. And I do want to make one thing. I want to clarify because I feel like there's always the occasional commenter who's like, well, I know a doctor and I got it. Like I also know a doctor and she's really great. She is my kid's pediatrician. I do trust her because I know what she believes.
It's not the norm.
It's not the norm. The doctor who was sitting at my table yesterday, that is a doctor who cares deeply for his patients. That is why he, of course, had his livelihood taken from him. So I got it. There is a handful of doctors. But the point is, we just talked about the WHO being somehow still, assumed to be like this accredited organization that we should listen to. Why? Why? Did COVID not teach us anything? What it should have taught us was these people who call themselves experts, specifically when it comes to the government, but these people who call themselves experts oftentimes are not. So stop trusting them blindly.
There's doctors out there that put fake boobs on Nancy Pelosi. That ought to tell you everything you need to know. Can you imagine taking your great-grandmother in at 80 years old into the clinic and saying, hey, doc, let's soup this up? Come on.
Only Prather.
I'm telling you, there's doctors out there, they're out there for profit. They didn't do it.
Yes.
When I went to school, University of Georgia, when I was a freshman, went to orientation, the guys out there, they said, okay, how many of y'all plan on majoring in pre-med? Half the hands went up. And then it said, how many of you plan on majoring in pre-law? The other half of the hands went up. So all of you are just basically planning on majoring in pre-wealth.
Yeah.
Well, how many of those do you think actually pursued that field of study?
Chad, I'm walking in the airport and I had this thought and I didn't act upon it. And next time I'm going to, and I'm seeing this woman and my heart broke for her. And then I got angry and I wanted to stop her and say, ma'am, stop, please. Everybody in your life is lying to you. You look like a tarantula. Okay?
Oh, Lord.
Your lips are out here. You got lashes that are a quarter of a foot long. Yeah. This is not beauty. They're taking your money. Mm-hmm. Your husband is probably off doing who knows whatever. Please, they're lying to you.
Correct.
And they will keep doing it to her. Mm-hmm. The doctors will say, another nip tuck, another this, another. They will sell her as long as she's willing to pay. And that's why I'm saying, stop paying. And surround yourself with friends that'll actually tell you when you're going off the rails. That'll actually tell you, hey, man, a little left. You're veering into the woods here. I see so many of these women, so many, Chad. You just walk around and you go, it's so desperate for attention, and someone will sell them a little something.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. All right. Let's take a quick break. And then when we come back, I want to talk about what's going on at Disney. And, speaking of doctors only doing things for profit, let's talk about doctors who really love chopping off children's body parts. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Birch Gold. So, look, this is kind of a crazy time right now, I would say. A little bit of economic instability. We just had what happened in Japan. There was a big crash and America suffered a little bit. And so I'm just saying, if you have not yet looked at diversifying into gold and silver, you can do that with Birch Gold. Historically, gold and silver have been a hedge against inflation and economic turmoil, which I would say is right now. Mm-hmm. So what they can do is say you've got like an IRA. I mean, they can do whatever you want if you want to diversify. But if you have an IRA or a 401k that is just already currently sitting, maybe it's losing value every day, but you're not doing anything with it specifically, you can actually convert that into a tax-sheltered account, and you can own physical gold and silver. It's not going to cost you a penny out of pocket. All you have to do is go to, you can text the word Sara to 989898. They're going to send you a free, no obligation information kit. So there's no reason not to do it. It's just going to explain the process, explain the history about gold and silver, and tell you how Birch Gold can help you. So text the word Sara to 989898. So James O'Keefe still doing great work, and his latest, he has exposed Disney for funding sex changes for their employees' children. Watch.
Just in, the Walt Disney Company is paying for puberty blockers for children. Take a look at this damning document that was provided to us from an insider at Disney today. As you can see on your screen, if you work at Disney, the company allows you to receive puberty blockers for your child, an irreversible sterilization drug that changes the life of your child forever. Internally, Disney pays a medical plan through Cigna Healthcare. Through Cigna, Disney employees have access to counseling, prescription coverages, provider referrals, and yes, puberty blockers for minors.
So this is part of a series that he has done. It's called The Disney Files, and they've been investigating Disney's internal policies, their DEI initiatives, and of course, what you saw right there, their radical gender ideology for children. Last month, a whistleblower from Disney provided James O'Keefe with internal documents proving that the company has actually a very long history of pushing this LGBTQIA''S squared agenda onto children. Here is some of that.
Now we know exactly what Jeannie Giannani, the creative marketing director, meant when he said the, quote, unspoken truth.
That's the unspoken thing.
The journalist discovered that Disney has a not-so-secret partner named Zebra Youth. Zebra Youth is a program that was formed to assist LGBTQ youth as young as 13 years old, and Disney seems to be all about it. And hidden from the public, Disney actively promotes the Zebra Youth program, and if it were not for our brave Disney whistleblowers, insiders shining a light inside this company, we would not be able to bring this shameful practice to light. As you can see in this Disney Pride Slack channel, Disney employees are passing around documents of poly swingers, virtual hangouts, pride nights, gay meetups, and even, yes, queer Zoom backgrounds that can be used when employees are on company Zoom calls.
My family was just in Orlando, and I had someone, actually a couple people, who were like, oh, you went to Disney? I was like, absolutely not. No, I would never take my children to Disney now. And that makes me very sad. It makes me very sad to say that. But this is what the Disney company has become. And Walt Disney would be spinning in his grave. Yeah. It's despicable.
Yeah, and so, obviously it's couched in the idea of empathy and compassion and kindness, and they're going to, again, you have to learn. You alluded earlier in the show, you got to get specific, right? We got to get detailed into this. I'm all for certain things, words that sound really good, like diversity and equity and inclusion. Those all sound like fantastic words, right? But there's an agenda behind all of that. Right. You say Black Lives Matter. Of course they do. But there's an agenda behind the organization. So when you're putting company policy out there in the name of empathy or healthcare or kindness and compassion, all those things sound great, but what is the agenda? And kudos to James O'Keefe for exposing this, because there is an agenda. There is something that they're trying to do, and it's nefarious, it's evil. I don't know why, at this stage in the game, why we even have to question that these people in these upper echelons of these entertainment conglomerates aren't evil, pedophile, pederast, NAMBLA, you name it, trafficking. I mean, is as bad as you want to go. These people are involved in this stuff. Hollywood is a cesspool of it. These networks are a cesspool of it. How many times do we have to expose these things before you say, hey, this is the nature of these companies? This is what they do.
Yeah, and look, this is what we do 24/7 is fighting these things. And people have to understand, entertainment leads culture. Entertainment actually leads politics. historically, as old as time, it's your painters and your sculptors, your messengers, your songwriters that write into culture, that messages for culture. This is why Hollywood is so important. So for that ideology to break American children when they're young, it's going directly against God's word. God says, train them in my ways when they're young, and they will not depart from it when they're old. Meaning, you train that 5-year-old about liberty and justice, the Constitution, kindness. When it's voting time at 18, they're not going to depart from it. When it's time to marry, they're going to defend their wife or their husband. They're going to raise their children. So Satan knows you break them when they're young. You drive them through sexual immorality into the ground, and they will live to survive. They're not going to vote for the Second Amendment. They're going to ask for someone to save them. Yep. Big Daddy government. This is the agenda. This is literally Fritz Belliusek and Alfred Kinsey and Hugh Hefner. This is the plan. But they know media holds the power. Media is the messenger. Media messages to the culture of this is who we are. Look, you said it earlier. They flip the switch and they take failing Kamala into presidential candidate through messaging. Who rallied behind her and brought the money? The entertainment business, Hollywood. Right? So people have to understand entertainment holds a tremendous amount of power over people because it's subliminal at times, and at times just straight up in your face, right? But it's messaging. So yes, they're involved. Yes, they're human trafficking organizations. Yes, they're pedophiles. And if you really go trace it, those who are allowed to lead those organizations, because it's a ladder that you are pulled into, right? It's a club. It's a cigar club of you can be the CEO of this company and you have that company. They let the pedophiles run the show because they have to bow to the greater agenda.
Yeah, and you see all of those like poly meetups and all of these things that he just showed, and it's like, well, no wonder Disney movies are bombing. Those are the people who are in charge of like making them entertaining, and that seems to be their entire identity. They have absolutely no other ways to describe themselves other than who they like to screw, and it's really coming out in their films. All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll be back. You guys have probably seen this, but Stephen Colbert had CNN's Kaitlan Collins on his show, and there was an accidental laugh line. He didn't mean for it. Watch.
Trump has kind of been thrown on his heels by this, and he's not really sure how to go after Vice President Harris. He knew his attack lines on President Biden. He really has struggled with how to go after someone who's 20 years younger than him, who is a different gender, a different race. It's kind of been this moment where he has not been able to coalesce around a single attack line.
I know you guys are objective over there, that you just report the news as it is. Oh, I know. CNN makes I know.
That's supposed to be a laugh line?
I wasn't supposed to be, but I guess it is.
Oh, that's awkward.
Yeah. Did she call Kamala a woman?
What is a woman?
That's what I was thinking. I mean, it's
a
different gender. I mean, is it official? I mean,
think about the type of audience that would want to go to a Stephen Colbert show. Right. They are already very leftist.
Yes.
And even they thought that was funny.
They knew.
They knew.
Again, they all know.
They all know.
They all know. You can jump on X and you watch these people with their blah, blah, blah. They know.
Yeah. And Kaitlan Collins, how far she's fallen. All right. Thanks, guys.